was scrolling the other day and I realized something. Many of us don't have very many real friends anymore. What we have today is more like an audience. I guess the problem I have with that is nobody ever checks in on the guy who has a perfect Instagram feed. Why would you? Because to you, his life is going just fine. And I remember reading an article some time back about this guy. He had like 1,500 online friends, which to me, that's a hell of a lot of people to know. I don't even think I know 1,500 people. But then he would go on to say that he only had 2 or 3 of those people in his entire life that he knew for sure he could call if something were to go wrong. And of that 1,500, he only had 20 or 30 phone numbers. And that struck me as odd. It struck me as odd because why are you calling someone a friend if you don't even have their phone number? I mean, to me, being a friend, that's the least thing that a person could trust you with, their phone number. And again, people, that's why I say we don't have friends anymore. We have an audience. And somewhere along the line, we've confused the two. An audience simply knows you as an actor, right? They come for the performance, they watch the performance, and they rate it. No different than you going to a movie. To me, that's what social media has become today. Because people don't share their real lives. They only share what they want you to know. And the people who are there to look at you, they don't really know you. They may have known you at some point. You guys may have been friends. But for the most part, I always say, if you don't have their phone number, you can't contact them off platform to talk about what's really going on in your life. You're not friends. You are an actor. They're there for the performance. They're your audience. That's exactly what most people are doing on social media anyway. Performing, they're acting. They're not showing you their real lives. And that audience that shows up to see how somebody's doing, they're not friends. Let's be honest. How many people come to other people's page just to see if they're doing bad yet? And when they are doing bad, how many of them are really happy? Come on. I don't know. All I see is people sharing a lot of positive stuff. And I know for a fact nobody's life goes good all the time, but I never see the bad times on there. All I see is the good stuff, the new truck or the promotion or vacations and shit like that. The highlight reels, I like to call it. They don't show you when the bills are behind or the mortgage is late or any of that kind of stuff. You don't get to see that. You're not privy to that. People let you know what they want you to know. Exactly that, no more. Problem is you can form that fake life any kind of way you want to. It's almost like that TV show Catfish. Remember how people were getting online and saying they were this way and it wasn't really who they were? That's what's happening to most of us now. We're being catfished. We like to believe that these people live these perfect lives and that we know them, and it's not reality, people. My question would be, why is it that people are so insecure that they don't want to show you their real lives? They only show you this carefully cultivated image. And to some people, keeping that image up, that becomes more important than reality. They can give a shit less about reality because they don't live there. They live in this image that they're trying to keep up on Facebook. I've seen it over and over again. I've actually had people that I knew that weren't living the life that they said. But on Facebook, if you didn't know them, you would think they were. And I think that's where a lot of these kids run into trouble, man. They don't realize that these influencers and these athletes, they don't live that life every day. It's bullshit. And here you are out here trying to live that life, going broke and wondering why shit's not 1 + 1 isn't equaling up to 2. It's not reality. And that's why, again, I will always say we don't have friends anymore. What we nowadays have is an audience. And as a result of that, everybody just sitting here suffering in silence and trying to look successful. Everybody's so damn tired from performing all the damn time, you know? It's exhausting. Everybody's so worried about the mask slipping. Can't let that happen. Somebody might actually see what's going on behind the curtain. But to me, The saddest part about all this is we're totally surrounded by people all the damn time, but we're all alone. So worried about likes. And I've never understood that. Because in reality, likes don't pay mortgages. Likes don't show up when you're in a hospital. And likes don't call you on the phone to give you comfort or direction when your life is totally falling apart. So as a result, we're all sitting here all alone and suffering in silence when we don't have to. We're so concerned about looking successful, like we got all our shit together. We don't have any problems. Reality, everybody's just exhausted and worn out from performing all the damn time. You know, got to be on point 24/7. Can't let that mask slip. Somebody might get a look behind the curtain and figure out what's going on. Saddest part about all this is, though, we're constantly surrounded by people in real life and online, but we feel all alone. We're so worried about likes, having people like us. Reality is likes don't pay mortgages. Likes don't show up when you're in a hospital. And likes don't show up or call you, give you direction when your life is falling apart either. That takes real people, real friendship. And again, we have an audience. And I just remember it wasn't always like this. There was a time when men bonded going through shit together, you know? I can just remember, man, being younger and talking to my friends, man, for hours. And I mean, we talked about everything. Life and girls and parents and kids and jobs and church and politics, everything. We knew every aspect of each other's lives. And they knew your worst moments too. You know, they were there. They were there to go through them with you. Let's be honest, people. It's easy as hell to be a friend or call yourself a friend when everything is going good in somebody's life. It's when that shit hits the fan and they're at their lowest and you have to be there. That's when you find out who your true friends are. That's when you find out what you're made of as a man. That's also where those deep friendship and trust bonds get formed. We don't have that anymore nowadays. There's nothing better in this world than knowing for sure somebody has your back. And no matter what you're going through, they're going to be there for you. And let's be honest, who in the hell forms some deep bonds over some vacation pictures or pictures of a expensive restaurant where you're sitting down eating? Come on. And I miss that because we don't really have that anymore. You know, those kind of relationships between men are mostly gone now. And I think part of that comes from the places where guys used to be able to spend time together and bond. Those are mostly gone now. I will always say, though, in order to get to truly know somebody, to build that kind of trust, you got to spend time with them. When you spend enough time with somebody, you get to see how that person handles their own business, how they handle their relationships with other people, how they treat their friends, how, if they're there for their friends or not. You get to see all that. That'll tell you a lot about what you need to know about them. That'll help you to form your opinion as to whether you want to be friends with them or not. But I will say this. If you spend enough time with a person, usually, if they're right, that trust will just naturally grow. It's not something you got to work on. I can just remember certain people, it just naturally happened. It wasn't something that I said, well, I'm going to try to trust this person. Because I'm a big believer. Trust is earned. It's not given. I don't give anybody trust. You earn it. But some people, it just naturally happens with. And I think a lot of that is gone nowadays. I think a lot of people give people trust and then they get disappointed. And once they get disappointed, then they pull back and they stop trusting most people. And they choose to keep their friendship superficial, which is a lot of what I'm seeing now. I think that's where a lot of the acting comes from. People are acting so they don't have to let anybody in. They don't have to trust. And a relationship of convenience, it works. But also to know that a true friend, and I've had this happen to me, they'll fucking tell you what you don't want to hear. What's the old saying? A true friend will tell you, a friend will tell you what you want to hear. A true friend will tell you what you need to hear. And sometimes, man, that shit is painful. Somebody says something that you already know is true. You don't want to hear that. That's the last thing you're trying to hear. But sometimes that's the very thing that you need to hear. Because a true friend, man, they're concerned about you as a person. They could give a shit less about a truck or a vacation or a promotion. Now, don't get me wrong, they're happy for you, but that's not their primary concern. Their primary concern is looking out after you as a person. I miss that, man. I don't think we have a lot of that anymore. And you definitely don't have it when you have an audience, when you have people who don't know you. In order to care about you as a person, they have to know you. And if you are online and you're putting up who you want people to think you are, they never get to know you. So they never get to they'll never be able to care about you because they don't know you. I don't know. I just think that things were a lot, I'm not going to say better, but shit was a lot easier, man, back in the day. You had less guessing to do. There were less facades, less masks, less personas, less people being fake than there are today. Now everybody seems to want to be fake. Everybody wants to perform. Everybody wants to be an actor. For the life of me, I don't know why. I can't be anybody other than who I am. Why would I want to try to be somebody that I'm not? Why would I want to portray to you that I'm somebody or something that I'm not? I don't know. At some point, man, we all decided to trade real connections for an audience, people to watch our fake life stories. And I don't know when it happened. I don't know how it happened. I'm going to assume some point when the internet came into being and people thought it was okay to share their lives on the internet and realized that other people were living better than them and they felt inadequate. So they made up shit. But for whatever reason, until we change and start getting back to the old ways and making real friendships and real connections and actually start trusting each other again, we'll always be totally surrounded by people, but we'll feel alone. And that's not just sad. It's not sad. It's dangerous nowadays. Loneliness is literally killing people. Some people weren't set up. Most people weren't set up to be isolated and alone. And one of the problems, like I said, with an audience is, yeah, you have a lot of physical people watching your story. No one knows you. No one knows what you're really going through because you're not sharing it with them. So now you're going through something deep, right? You don't have anybody to talk to. You don't have anybody to give you advice or to just listen. A lot of people under that kind of stress and those conditions turn to drugs, alcohol, some worse, some turn to suicide. Suicide is a leading killer amongst men right now. And that's sad when there's so many guys around. Remember something. Back in the day, when I keep saying that because I'm older, guys didn't try to do this shit by themselves. Guys had many good friends to lean on. I'm talking about just oodles of good friends, good men, good guys that you could talk to, get advice from, just lean on, just listen to you. Nowadays it's different. Guys don't have that anymore. I just don't believe any of us was meant to do this alone. I don't. I think it's damn near impossible to do it alone. We got to do better, people. We got to get back to spending time with each other, trusting each other again, talking to each other, getting to know each other. We got to put the petty shit aside. One of the problems that I see is everybody's living in their own little bubble, their own little reality. Until we start getting out of those little bubbles, that little cultivated reality we've created, every friendship, every relationship will be surface level. You've got to trust to let people in, to get to know you. to see who you are and how you are, so they'll know how to deal with you. Until we start trusting again. And again, like I said, I'm a big believer. Trust is earned. It's not given. But that's where the time comes in. That's where spending time comes in. I know we can do better. I don't know. That whole audience thing bugs me. Because I hear people say that all the time. Oh, I've got 2,000 friends. No, you don't. You have 2,000 audience members. They don't know you. Let me ask you this. When's the last time you actually talked to one of your Facebook friends or social media friends offline? And I'm not talking about somebody you try and put your little wangle in. I'm talking about somebody with on a real man level conversation. Because I've talked to a couple guys from the site. Good brothers. There's a lot. That's why I say there's a lot of good guys out there, man. These are guys I never would have met before because our paths wouldn't have crossed. But through this site, I've talked to them, man. There's a fuck ton of good brothers out there, man. You got to believe that. But hey, I don't want to. You guys got anything you want to add to this or talk about it? Please, by all means, drop it down below in the comments. Let's talk about it. Let's keep this open. Let's keep it rolling. This is just one of those things, man. We audiences. My wife is the one who came up with that fucking term. She's big on that whole, you don't have friends, you have audience members. And I'm like, no, they're friends. She's like, well, they're not friends until you get to know them. And I thought on that. She's absolutely fucking right, man. I hate to admit that, but she's right a lot. But hey, take care of yourself and each other. Kindness, love, respect. Show a little more of these fellas and we'll get there. We'll get there. But at any rate, I'm Unc. I'll catch you guys in the next one.